Hello, my dear listeners. I'm Sir Wraeclast, and today I will be reading lore from the book The Wraeclast Chronicles. Tonight's chapter turns to Count Geonor, the seed he stole, and the strange sickness that turns lore, body, and landscape into one fever. We will follow Una's memory, the Hooded One's warning, Geonor's own dying confession, and the later truth that points back to the beast's creator. Geonor's corruption begins as a question of timing. The Count does not simply wake cruel one morning. Una gives the first keen mark in the record.
All this began the night Count Geonor took his most loyal men into the Grellwood. After he returned, a madness grew in him.
The Grellwood matters because it is the threshold. Geonor enters the old forest as a ruler with loyal men, then returns with a madness that begins ruling through him. That point keeps the story grounded. Geonor is accountable for his laws and murders, yet the game keeps showing a second agency pressing through his body and mind. Una already describes the same force outside the manor. The land is infected through soil, water, and air. Beasts change before nobles explain anything.
The infection in the soil, water, and air is changing them. All of them.
The Count's body and the countryside suffer the same grammar. Flesh changes shape, hunger rises, memory loosens, and familiar paths become hostile. The Hooded One names the object at the center of this. Geonor did not merely find a relic, he took a seed that had been hidden from humanity.
The Count accosted me and stole a very dangerous object. A seed that I have kept hidden from humanity. Somehow he knew that I possessed it. He cannot possibly know how dangerous it is. His attempts to harness its power will court disaster.
That line makes Geonor's fall part of a larger chain of custody. The danger was already old, already known, already locked away by someone afraid of what people would do with it. Notice the word seed. The threat is alive enough to be fed, grown, nurtured, and carried. It behaves less like a sword and more like a future looking for soil. The Hooded One offers a definition after Lackland falls. Corruption disorganizes order. That single idea explains the episode's visual language.
Corruption once had a purpose. Let us term it a disorganizer of what would otherwise be ordered. One consequence of this chaos is the warping of pathways, both through the woods and in the mind.
A disorganizer does not need to invent evil from nothing. It loosens the joints of a person or place until the old shape cannot hold. Before the manor, the Hooded One warns that Geonor's madness has an ancient source. He treats the Count as dangerous, yet the seed as the deeper emergency.
If you intend to face the Count, I must warn you. An ancient corrupting power has driven him to madness. There is no telling what you may find within the walls of the manor. Where the seed of corruption takes root, life bends itself into unnatural shapes, and the minds of men grow fevered. Though you may face horrors beyond comprehension, it is this seed that is the true danger at the heart of the manor.
Life bending and minds fevering are the two axes of Geonor's horror. His human reason bends toward hunger. His noble body bends toward the wolf. His justice follows the same pattern. Trials become executions, stewardship becomes hunger, and a ruler meant to preserve Ogham begins consuming it. Geonor's own voice is full of bargain language. He speaks to Oriana as a man who believes his suffering bought him something.
Oriana! Open the cage! Release the beast! Give me what you promised! I will have what I was promised!
The promise is never fully named in Act 1, and that silence is useful. Geonor sounds trapped inside expectation, power, release, perhaps relief from the thing already chewing through him. When the fight turns, Geonor gives his body to the pack. The line sounds ceremonial, as if the Count is choosing a shape the corruption has already prepared.
I pledge my body to the pack! The hunger consumes!
The putrid wolf is the Count's inner state made visible. Hunger becomes anatomy, nobility becomes pelt, teeth, moonlit cold, and rot. The environment around Geonor matters. The manor, the village, and the infected beasts are extensions of the same pressure. Corruption turns hierarchy into ecology. Where a ruler should organize the realm, Geonor radiates disorganization. His household, soldiers, dead, wolves, woods, and roads all begin speaking the seed's fever. At the end, the mask breaks. Geonor names Oriana, names the madness, and asks for the very thing the episode has been circling, an end to the infection.
The madness. It consumed my being. Oriana used it against me. I found messages from the desert. Yes, find her. Kill her. But first, please, stop the madness.
Oriana used it against him. That phrasing gives Geonor a final human edge without absolving him. He becomes both tyrant and test subject. The messages from the desert pull the episode beyond Agam. Geonor's manor is the local wound, yet the order behind it is already reaching toward the Vastiri. The Hooded One confirms the scale immediately after Geonor falls. The seed has begun to grow, and the thing leaving Ogam is called a fledgling beast.
We must pursue Oriana. The seed of corruption has begun to grow, but there is still a chance that we can end this before it is too late. The fledgling beast is leaving corruption in its wake, so we have a trail to follow. When you are ready to part from this place, we can leave immediately.
The word fledgling matters. Act 1 does not end with the monster slain. It ends with the infant form of a world-level catastrophe escaping with the Countess. Then the later confession lands. The Hooded One is Sin, and he claims responsibility for the beast and the seed of corruption.
It was I who created the beast. The seed of corruption that now threatens to grow anew, and it is my responsibility. As it is my creation that once again threatens all of Wraeclast, it is by my hand that it must be contained.
That confession pulls the origin of Ogam's corruption out of Count Geonor's hands. Geonor stole the seed, Oriana exploited it, yet the First Maker stands behind both of them. Sin's old act was meant to answer a divine problem. In Path of Exile lore, the beast was bound to questions of godhood, restraint, and the attempt to spare humanity from divine hunger.
Why would any civilization intentionally create this seed of corruption? If the seed of corruption grew out of control, then perhaps it was designed to shut down the experiment.
Doriani's question keeps the origin unsettled. A civilization may build a weapon, a break, or a failsafe, then discover centuries later that the device still has an appetite. Kipolatl's thesis gives the same danger a colder, scholarly voice. Enough focused corruption can alter the fundamental laws of existence in a small area. Geonor's domain begins to feel like a small experiment in altered law. Roads mislead, beasts mutate, authority rots, and the moonlit wolf becomes a legal sentence with teeth. The Hooded One's role therefore carries a double weight. He warns the village, guides the exile, identifies the seed, and slowly admits that his own ancient solution has returned as a crisis. His guilt does not erase the Count's choices. It widens the crime scene. Ogam suffers from noble ambition, Oriana's manipulation, and a divine design that was never buried deeply enough. Geonor's tragedy keeps its teeth. He remains guilty, and possession alone cannot explain him. He is a ruler whose worst desires were given a living engine. The seed needs a wound rather than a saint. Geonor's pride, dependence on Oriana, fear of losing power, and hunger for promised strength give it a perfect host. The environment answers because the seed works through relation. Count to soldier, ruler to village, beast to forest, husband to countess, creator to creation. Every bond becomes a root system. When the putrid wolf falls, the corruption survives him. It changes carriers. The Count's body fails, and the beast has already learned to leave footprints. The desert messages found in Geonor's last breath turn the manor into a relay station. Ogham is the first visible outbreak, while the final destination waits beyond the woods. The next trail matters because the beast moves into the Vastiri. Corruption leaves Argum's woods and courts, then begins testing memory, empire, water, and the dead. For Geonor, the cost is personal. For Wraeclast, the lesson is structural. A failed divine safeguard can become a seedbed for every old hunger left in the world. Tonight's lesson is that Count Geonor was the first great host we watched closely. His body showed the seed's power, his manner showed its reach, and his final words pointed toward Oriana's wider design. Next time, we follow that trail into the Vastiri, where the desert remembers older disasters and where corruption begins speaking through sand, bones, and kingship. That's all I have for you tonight. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. There is much more lore and many more stories to come. Thank you for taking the time to watch my content. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.